And here we are. So, welcome. This is Board Game Binge, where we try to give you bite-sized, bingeable board game content, pieces that absorb and just munch up and enjoy your the board game industry. Today, I'm so excited to bring these two gentlemen in and to talk to them about their company. We have Brendan Kendrick, if you wave.
Hello.
Brittany Lynn, give a quick wave.
Hello.
Dead Alive Games. They are the creators of Omicron Protocol. And guys, let's get into it. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
No problem. No problem. So you launched this game last year on Kickstarter. Now we're going to get into that launch in a second, but can you just quickly tell the people listening what is Omicron Protocol? What type of game is it? How does it work?
Okay, I'll take this one.
Yeah, go nuts.
But yeah, Omicron Protocol, we call it an intra-apocalyptic miniature skirmish game. It's kind of a crossover game that's between a skirmish war game and a board game. And it's set in the year 2050 in a fictional city, San Lazaro, about a pandemic that has hit the city and turned people into what we call cyber zombies, kind of a twist on the zombie genre.
That's crazy. And so how did you come up with this story in the first place? Are you guys writers? Have you written novels? It sounds like quite a story behind this, right?
Fans, we're fans up till now. The story really kind of developed, I would say, out of the game, but they really were simultaneous. We started with some kind of mechanic ideas that we thought were interesting, and as we played with those ideas and we kind of came up with archetypes for characters, and then these personalities just kind of grew out of those characters. So yeah.
So you have a character like Bob the Bear.
Indeed.
My favorite.
Right? So
Yes.
Artemis or Athena. So is this the stuff that you just kind of one day you woke up from a bad dream and thought, hey, I'm going to have this kind of futuristic cyber warfare with a bear. Why don't I just throw a bear in there? It'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, as Brendan said, a lot of it came from, we really started with the mechanics and the general, like, okay, it's going to be near future. It's not going to be full on sci-fi. It's not going to be fantasy. We kind of wanted to do a twist from the kind of the popular genres out there. Like, let's just do a near future sci-fi pre-cybernetic world. But then we started really with the characters first. We just developed each character, kind of what's his or her background, where did he or she come from, and then from that we kind of pieced together the world around it.
So you're storytellers, basically.
Yeah,
We are now, I guess. Yeah.
So how did you guys meet? Like, how this all kind of come together? Just one day that you're on the bus together and you say, hey, I like cyber bears.
Hey, stranger.
I like zombies. Let's put it together.
We met through playing X-Wing. Actually, that was my first
sweet.
miniatures game, and I was involved in that for a while, and then probably a year into playing that game and going to tournaments locally, Bernie showed up at one of the tournaments with 3 terrible lists, and he was like, hey, I'm new, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I have these ships, and this is what and I was like, well, this is the most functional list out of these 3. Yeah, the least terrible. And he actually took 3rd in that tournament, which was amazing. But that's kind of how we met, and developed a friendship from there. And years later, I tricked him into developing a game.
And you actually hear that from a lot of people, like that are board gamers and maybe met through gaming. Many of my friends I've met through meetups, right? Just through casual social gaming, and you start realizing there's people who have similar likes to you, and you kind of form those bonds and friendships. And Definitely. Often I hear people actually talking about game creation. Wow, someday I'd love to make a game, or I've got a game idea myself. Maybe someday I'll put it out there. And that's really a big leap, right? To go from, hey, that'd be cool to do someday, to actually doing it, right? So how long did the development take of a game like this? So you have the idea, you're kind of bantering ideas around. How long did it take you to actually have a working prototype where you could actually sit down and play this game?
That happened pretty quick. Yeah.
Pretty much. You gave the idea, and then within a week or two, we just took existing models and stuff we had, and like on a whiteboard, just wrote down some stats of the characters and just tried it.
Yeah.
And was there different iterations of it, or is it just kind of just nailed on the first go? Or
No, thousands of iterations. Actually, in about, I would say 1 year in, we hit a really, really tough patch where we kind of, in the interest of just, let's see if this idea is cool, we kind of blurred over a lot of gritty details. So in the beginning, we kind of had, we'll just, divide our board into quadrants, and then, our third party will just come out of these quadrants and we'll roll and blah, blah, blah. And we kind of fudged a lot of rules for a long time as we developed characters and some of the core combat mechanics.
Yeah.
And then I would say a year in, that October, November, we just had a grueling series of play tests of making our third party really watertight,
And where did you play test? Did you go to conventions? Did you like local game groups, or
all of the above? Yeah. Every chance we got, everything we could do. Yeah, definitely. And we meet up 2 to 3 times a week at least.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, during that patch, I think we were meeting up 4 or 5 times a week.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a loaded question, but did you find you made a lot of changes based on people's inputs and some of these play testers that would play it, or?
I would say a little bit of both. Definitely, everyone has opinions. We all know that. Like I actually was going to say, like I'm one of the weird ones. I play a lot of games, but I never thought I would design a game. Didn't even have the desire. But I play test a bunch, and I always give like my opinions. I was like, oh, if you don't do this, it's gonna suck.
Yeah. And
then obviously now being on the other side of that, we realize that everyone has their opinions, everyone has their biases. We just kind of like, we listen to them and see what is frustrating them. And we try to solve that root problem rather than just take their first suggestion of a mechanic and use it. We go like, okay, he's suggesting this mechanic because he didn't like how that thing moved. How can we make that better? So I think there was a lot of that, and we're both really hardcore gamers, so we have a lot of opinions like, oh, this doesn't feel right. So combining the two, we kind of do a lot of iterations that way.
It's pretty insightful. I know a lot of people that are maybe designing games of themselves. That's one of the toughest thing in of getting the balance right, of taking feedback, right, and saying, okay, what can I maybe incorporate that, but not necessarily losing sight of what you've created. And that can get very easy too. Everybody becomes a board game designer as soon as they start playtesting, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Solution. And you got to kind of stay true to what your original intent was.
Totally.
And there's going to be some mechanics. There's going to be some things where you think you got nailed, and somebody's going to come up with an idea. It's going to say, wow, that's amazing. I'm going to incorporate that.
Yeah.
That's perfect. But you don't want to lose focus of what you've kind of got into this for. So
yeah, it's also one of the reasons we decided to self-publish through Kickstarter rather than go sell the game to a publisher.
So who did the artwork? You got the miniatures that, I mean, they look amazing, and the box artwork. So was it just the two of you, or did you bring another designer in, or?
Oh my God, no, we are not artists. You should see some. I don't have anything handy, but
awesome sketches.
Stickmen. Oh, there you go.
That's a good mock-up right there. My style. Yeah. So we are neither of us artists, but yeah, we have a team. We've had a few visual artists that we've worked with that have been really awesome and kind of maintained a pretty consistent style. We've had one sculptor who's been just awesome. Yeah, he goes by Monster Caesar, Andrew Martin. He's super rad.
Also from Canada.
Nice. Fellow Canuck. I love it.
Yeah.
So how do you bring this team together? Like, how did you find these artists? Were these just friends that enjoy playing games as well? The one guy's like, hey, I happen to do modeling, or did you actually go out and try to find these people?
Yeah, we went out and tried to find. There's a good site. I actually use it for my day job called Upwork. A lot of freelancers put their stuff on there. So actually, everyone we found through that, and I think it's a really good platform because the artists, the designers, the sculptors, the writers, they just put their own price. We just pay them whatever they ask for it, but we always have this paid, what do you call it, like testing interview period. Like, hey, tell us this thing. And we just have a bunch of, we select someone and we just work with them. So a lot of them started with us since beginning of 2018, all the way till now.
I'll put a link to that. So it's Upwork. So we'll find a link. I'll put that into the bottom of this interview, so people want to actually look that up. Any designers or people looking for designers or developers.
Highly recommend that because people can put reviews. They put their own portfolios on there. You can set up like, hey, I just want to do one thing just to see if your style matches ours, how much do you want us to pay you? Everything can be set up.
So then now we fast forward, now we're in what, May of last year, 2019. You guys are saying, okay, we're going to put this baby on Kickstarter. We're going to self-publish. We're going to knock it out of the park. It's going to be a home run, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
we're
the
smash hit.
Elephant in the room is that the first attempt was not successful, right? So you guys got funded, but you got funded on your second attempt at Kickstarter. So what were some of and I love interviewing people like yourselves, because there's so many developers out there that, it doesn't work out, or, they got their dreams and everything, all their time and energy and sweat put into something like this. It's literally like their baby, and it's not successful.
Yeah.
People that dust themselves off, learn from their mistakes, and then go back at it again. Queen Bee with Micro, and he was listening right now as well. Another great example. A lot of respect for people like yourselves, because I think there's a lot that the community can actually learn from people like you. And it's inspirational, right? To see that just because you're not successful the first time doesn't mean you're not going to necessarily knock it out of the park the second time. So I have written down here this in Canadian dollars, $34,000 you guys raised in that first campaign. And then in June, you canceled. So for most people, $34,000 Kickstarter campaign would be seen as a smash hit.
Yeah.
And for you guys, it wasn't. So what happened? Why would you cancel at $34,000? I know the answer, but I want to hear you say it.
Yeah. Oh. Well, first of all, our goal was 60,000.
Okay.
So we were nowhere near that.
US, right?
US dollars.
US dollars.
Yeah.
And,
like
and you can't change your Kickstarter goal once you've gone live.
Yeah.
And the number that we arrived at, 60 grand, was unfortunately based on a quote that we got from a very premium and very awesome manufacturer, but one that we just simply couldn't afford to do business with at this stage. So, and they do really excellent minis. They did Nemesis and all that Awaken Realm stuff. So they're really rad and really communicative, and I highly recommend working with them if you can afford it, but we couldn't. So basically we laid out this financial model of like, okay, this is how much money we need to not totally die. We need 60 grand. And so we were pretty much stuck with it. And it was a series of kind of like premature, maybe we were just really caught up in the moment and the spirit and like, okay, well, we said May, we got to do it. And so, rushing was a big part of that problem, big part of
Would you say that's probably, I think, the number one issue amongst most people launch Kickstarters is rushing, right?
Yeah. Tip number one, do not set a date.
We'll figure it out. Let's just get it out there, right?
Yeah. Don't set a date. Tip number two, now that you're sure, okay, I don't have to set a date, don't even think about it until it's done.
Yeah.
Don't think about launching your Kickstarter until you're like, yeah, here's my laid out, beautiful rule book, that's been play tested.
I mean, the difference between like the first and the second Kickstarter is huge. Like, as we were prepping for the second Kickstarter, we're just like, how did we launch in May at all? Like, this thing wasn't done. That thing was just kind of rushed. The pricing was not quite there. It was priced a little too high. We only got 1 or 2 quotes rather than 5 or 6 quotes, and found our current manufacturer.
What are you manufacturing?
Huh?
Where are you manufacturing it right now? Or
in China. And want to shout out to Mike Bruner. He introduced us to them.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah. Big up to Queen Bee. Huge inspiration to us.
Huge.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and that manufacturer is just super communicative, really good price for smaller creators, and just on top of everything. And Queen Bee, I think, is shipping soon, so you'll get to see the results of that.
Yeah, I back Queen Bee, actually. I just finished my survey, I think it was on Friday, so I'm looking forward to getting my copy. My brother's a beekeeper, so for me,
super fun game. Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, I can't wait. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh, I got to back this game.
Nice.
And so I guess the lesson there for some people is that manufacturing, you can get your costs down quite significantly, as well as your minimums, which I think is another piece, right? It's not just your overall manufacturing costs, but then the minimums, like how many do I have to produce in order to the least I can make to get this done. Sourcing directly from China really alleviates a lot of those headaches. A lot of people are afraid of that, but the reality is you're going to save yourself a lot of money and you're going to get your minimums down if you go direct to China. Right?
For sure. And that's actually something, I mean, if you're thinking about manufacturing in China, then something that's really important is communication, and that's, I think, what people are afraid of. They're afraid of feeling like things get dropped or miscommunicated or blah blah blah. So one of the biggest things you can do is, if you are having that problem and you're afraid of your manufacturer, go find another one.
Mm-hmm.
They're out there. You know what I mean? So if you're having trouble communicating, don't be afraid to say, you know what, just keep looking. There's a lot of companies out there. So find one that's easy to communicate with. Huge weight off your shoulders.
I often, when I talk to people about this, is say, manufacturing China, it's got to be kind of scary. You're dealing with other parts of the world. In many cases, you have to put huge deposits down in order to get them started.
Totally.
What I always tell them is, I say, you got kind of two choices. You can pick a local supplier who's going to outsource to those same people in China, right? And add markups and minimums and all this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And they'll handle the communication back and forth, but you're going to have all the same things you'd already pay somebody directly in China, but then, of course, another layer of margin. Mm-hmm. Dealing directly with China is because so many games are made there. There's companies, they're experts at doing this. There's companies that crank out a lot of high quality games that are very, very popular titles, and you can get those same companies to manufacture your games. So, kind of once you get over that fear factor, you realize that you really open yourself up to another, really a new world, right? When it comes to manufacturing. Yeah. So when you, the second time wasn't 60,000. What was your target for the second campaign?
17.5,
I think.
Yeah.
$17.5. Yeah. So that's a big drop. So was it? How did you get it down so much? Was it based on manufacturing costs? What was it they had like 1/4 of the target now?
It's a little bit of everything. Yeah, manufacturing cost was definitely a lot cheaper. I think, again, if you make a game with no miniatures, the price probably would be similar. But when it comes to miniatures, how much it costs to make the mold, how much it costs to cast each of those models, that makes a huge difference. And I think you mentioned a little bit earlier, one of the biggest things was the minimum order. I think the first Kickstarter, our minimum order was like 1,500 or 1,000, at least 1,000.
It was more. Yeah, it was 2,500. I think. Yeah.
Okay, and with this smaller company, they were willing to go down to 500. Right there, it's a 5-time reduction. Even though unit cost goes up a little, you just lowered your goal by 5 times.
Yeah, you get your per unit cost down, but then you're sitting on a lot of inventory that
exactly
you don't have a home for, and then you got to think about storage and all these other things that kind of come further down.
Which has its own cost. Yeah, it's going to balance out basically.
Yeah, exactly. Now I noticed on your page you had earlier in your before you got into some of the miniature stretch targets, there was like little 2D cutouts that they could use as people. So I didn't notice if that was on the first and second one or just the second one, but was that one of the ways you guys kind of a strategy used to try to maybe allow yourself to hit a lower level if that's what the funding kind of hit?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, a lot of things we did correctly, well, at least based on the funding. And the second one was, number one, just giving a lower cost entry. So standees, the 2D standees was one of the ideas our community suggested. They're like, oh, number one, I don't like miniatures. Number two, miniatures do cost more. They understand that, but they want to play the game. They don't care if there's like a miniature or just a little 2D cardboard. So because of that, we kind of work with our manufacturer to figure out, hey, can we offer that? And it is cheaper. So then we could offer like an entry level, like a $40 core box with the game and instead of miniatures, those things. And that kind of brought in more people who obviously we're first time creators. So they don't want to just like shell out $60, $80 to someone they never know. So we were able to get some of those people in. They told other people, and then that effect kind of really helped bring more people in.
So it was a secondary option then. So one option, cheaper cost to get the game, was your 2D standees, and then more expensive deluxe, for lack of a better word, version was your miniatures. What was the split did you find in terms of pledgers? Because this is kind of interesting for people trying to decide, do I do miniatures or do I not do miniatures? Do I go lower cost or higher cost? What kind of split did you see in terms of your pledge base?
This is one of those things that's really funny, to us, because the split is like, I don't know, 4% of people get the standees.
Okay.
But you have to have it.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things.
It gets more people. It's weird. Yeah. We actually observed, we went out and looked at 10, 20 different Kickstarters out there who failed the first time with miniatures and second time had the standees. It's about at most 10% ever back the standees, but they always get way more people.
Yeah.
And a lot of people upgrade, even for ours. They started with the standee, and as the Kickstarter went on, they upgraded to the miniatures.
Yeah.
So how do you handle that when you have such a small percentage of people that are doing now the standees? I imagine now you're getting into minimum potential issues there as well, right? We're like, okay, now
that is a drag, yeah.
So how do you handle that?
Kind of just eat the cost, honestly, because, having those backers and then having, just having that, like, okay, we got them in the door. Now they're getting updates. They're getting excited about the game. It's, our numbers are better across the board. So now Kickstarter is seeing, it's a little bit of a snowball effect where you just get more eyes on it. And that ends up paying for the cost of, like, well, yeah, we're paying, $20 extra for this, like, single standee version, but it's, we got 2 backers probably out of it. So that's,
sure.
That's $40. So
are you doing all the packing, like all these different iterations? Are they going to happen at your manufacturer, or is there any customization you're going to do maybe through a fulfiller, or?
No, we're probably going to do everything that we can. We're going to do with the manufacturer. Yeah, for sure.
And are you using a fulfillment house at all, or how are you guys fulfilling?
Yeah, we're going to be using a fulfillment house, most likely Quartermaster. It just depends on the region, so we're kind of looking at pricing and what we can do with who. But yeah. And
did you guys use any kind of like backer kit or anything like that in your campaign?
Yeah, we used GameFound, which is the free version that Awaken Realms has up and running. A lot of Kickstarters are using that these days, and nice. We used it for the obvious reason that we're not a big blockbuster, and we don't want to pay for things if we don't have to. So yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize that your backer kits are there to collect your shipping costs, right? So sometimes your shipping costs aren't kind of finalized until after the Kickstarter is done. You can give people a range, but the final cost, they'll collect that for you. Often they're also good at expanding your pledge base, right? So getting late pledges to come in, and they can increase your pledge base, 5-10% some cases. Did you guys have some experience there with that in terms of your backer kit?
We didn't get anything directly like as far as GameFound promoting it that we're aware of, but we have gotten some late pledges, probably more from our own personal hustling and demos and stuff that we're doing. So
I mean, the cool stuff with it,
some of them are out of nowhere.
Yeah, the cool stuff with it is it's just it's a good web store before you put one up. So everything can be there, all your products can be there. It's just a lot easier before you have to set up your own thing when you get the product.
And you can upsell too, right? So
if
trinkets and things you want, and people add on to the order, it's easy for them just to click some buttons and add on. So how did you guys? So I looked at the first campaign where, again, 34,000 Canadian dollars are raised. What did you guys do to try to bring those first backers over to the second campaign? Because a lot of people don't necessarily realize that when your campaign ends, when you start another Kickstarter, it's a fresh Kickstarter, right? You don't have direct access to that first fan base. So what did you do to try to transition them over to the new campaign?
Actually, you do have access to them through the old Kickstarter page. So that's one of the
cancel campaign. You can communicate that way.
You're right. Cancel the campaign. So make sure you cancel the campaign and not let it run unsuccessfully.
Yes.
So we definitely reached out before the launch. We're just telling them, hey, we're relaunching this time. So you still send updates with the canceled Kickstarter. And one of the things we did was any returning backers, we kind of just gave kind of a custom dice set that we created. New backers can still buy, but they just get it for free for coming back. And I think just a very rough number, we were able to get 50-60% of our previous backers back.
Wow. That's a nice touch, actually. I haven't heard of that, offering like a nice little, here's a little thing to, for everybody that's only exclusive to you guys that are returning. We're going to do something special for you. You backed us the first time. Hey, we appreciate you backing us another time.
Exactly.
That's very cool. So what would be something you would say is, if you were to offer advice to other developers, somebody new is kind of coming into this, what's the kind of key learnings that you would say, here's our top kind of 3 things you guys would recommend to other people?
Don't do a miniatures games as your
yeah
do a
that's probably
game.
number 1. Card, simple dice game. Just do something simple. Get your bearings in the world of Kickstarter. It's so much to learn. Like I don't know how single people even do it. I mean, the fact that Bernie and I partnered up is the only reason that this was remotely successful. Yeah, I don't know how those individual publishers do it. It's so much
creators. It's amazing. I always look at the amount of work. I'm just like, if we didn't split it and we didn't have kind of our skill sets, it would have been way harder.
For sure.
I think that sometimes people get worried about having to kind of share the pot, right? But you know, if you're getting your slice of a pizza, if that pizza is much larger, then who cares if you get a smaller slice, right? That's kind of you learning at the end of the day.
Second thing is really second tip I probably say is really go out there, be visible. What if you could travel to the local convention, travel to the big ones like Gen Con Origins. This is obviously before COVID. And if you're not able to do that, try to do any way possible. Join the different Facebook groups. See if you could get virtual playtesting up, especially with Tabletop Simulator and Tabletopia. You can build a community from the very beginning of people who go, oh, that game looks cool. And people will volunteer to help you playtest, help give you ideas. They love just being part of that journey. So don't like say, oh, I need to make this perfect before I like reveal it to anyone. Start from the very beginning. I have an idea, grab some friends. Okay, this idea is kind of cool. My friends like it. Okay, start asking your local players that you normally don't play with. Oh, it's even better now. Bring it to a convention, so forth.
Oh, very nice.
Certainly. And join your local, like find your proto spiel, or there's like playtest groups, you know, huge. Yeah, that's a huge benefit. So
one thing I heard from one of the gamers I was playing with is they said just having their name mentioned as a playtester is a great way to get playtesters. If you say, look, hey, can you help me with playtesting? I'll put your name in the, we're going to have a page in our instruction manual specifically to name all the people to help play test this game. You'd be amazed how many people say, oh, wow, I get my name put onto a book that's going to be published. Oh, sign me up. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I used to be like, oh, yeah, if I could get my name in, I'll do anything for you.
I'll work for free.
Yeah.
So, guys, it's amazing how fast a half hour goes. But before I let you go, what's next for your group? Where do you guys go from here? Kind of what's the next steps for your company? What can we expect to come out from your, is there other versions, other stories? I'm going to share the screen here of your page, maybe while you talk about what's coming next. I'm going to scroll through really quickly through the Kickstarter page and maybe just kind of tell us some of the things that are up and coming.
So we're just trying to finish the manufacturing stuff right now, so we're getting pretty close. So once we get that done, during our Kickstarter, we had a lot of fun with the backer community, and we actually had them help us design 2 new characters. Unfortunately, we didn't hit the stretch goal to release it right then, so probably being able to release some new models, new teams potentially would be ways that we're going to continue supporting this game. And then on the side, one of the things from the very beginning, we always wanted to develop both the skirmish game, and I was talking to James earlier, for those non-skirmish players, an actual co-op board game, like a dungeon crawl, as they call it. And we actually started playtesting that a little bit earlier this year before all the shelter in place. And that's something that pretty much all the stories there, all the characters there, obviously the game will play very differently. So we're hoping to start working on that once the manufacturer is doing their thing and do not need our input anymore.
Yeah.
You guys thought about doing a comic book?
Yes.
Of course.
Cool story. Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, one of our artists already asked, is like, hey, can we talk about a graphic novel sometime?
Yeah, that's cool.
And then RPG module is another thing we're thinking of. We actually played, Brendan DM'd it on the Genesis system. We actually played a few of our own stories with our friends as an RPG.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for taking the time with us here. We really appreciate it. I know there's lots of tips there that people doing their own games can really learn from, and I'm sure they appreciate your time today. So thanks again for your time.
Thanks for having
us. Yeah.
All right, no worries. Take care. Cheers.
Bye.